You know, Mike, all that New York Giants game did on Sunday was piss me off. All it did was piss me off. It's amazing how much better the secondary looks with Bradley Fletcher's ass on the fucking bench. Why couldn't these changes be made in week 5 when we were clamoring for them? Oh man, Mike Owens is here. I'm Adrian Vedcu. We're going to talk a little bit season overview, talk about the Giants game a little bit, talk everything else. Go ahead, Mike. I haven't seen you in a while, bud. How was your Christmas?
Well, it was a great Christmas, but it was a sad Christmas too because the Eagles will not be playing in the playoffs. But the Eagles, it took them until the final week of the season in a meaningless game to finally bench Bradley Fletcher. And they put him on the bench, and, well, Bradley Fletcher decided to switch careers, and, well, he became a balloon hat maker. Bradley Fletcher is officially a balloon hat maker now. Football was not working out for him, obviously, so the Eagles, decided to turn him into a balloon hat maker on the sideline. And the Eagles are now going to be making a lot of balloons in the offseason because they will not be being playing in the playoffs. And while they're making balloon hats, I will be sitting back and drinking some cold ones and probably making some popcorn as well. Just like we did when we watched T.O. play here in Philadelphia. But now, since he's not here, we have to eat our popcorn and watch other teams play in the playoffs. And with that said, we sit here today doesn't result in a playoff berth.
Yeah, we are the third team in NFL history to start a season 9-3 and miss the postseason. I'm trying to remember who the other teams were. I think it was it was like the 1993 or 94 Miami Dolphins and then the 2008 Buccaneers. So we're on that short list, Mike. Fuck, man. God damn it. You know, we're going to be the biggest Lions fans on Sunday. I'll tell you that much. But all right. So the game yesterday. Obviously it was meaningless. I was pretty much watching it to see, what our secondary would look like. We got some Nolan Carroll, saw some Jalen Watkins, and the other thing that pissed me off too was, seeing Kerry Williams matched up with Odell Beckham at times, lining up on the left side. Why wasn't he doing this against Jordy Nelson? Why wasn't he doing this against Des Bryant earlier in the game? I know he did it a little bit later with 5 minutes to go. Why wasn't he doing this all season long? The amazing thing about HD television is that you can see everybody on the screen, you know? But the only guy you could never see on the screen was Bradley Fletcher because every other receiver would burn him by 20 yards. But we didn't have to see him on Sunday. And by God, the secondary looked a little bit better, didn't it, Chip? Just, I was just angry watching this game. So I'm like, these are easily, mistakes that could have been corrected, and they weren't.
Yeah, well, the reason, for Bradley Fletcher having such a horrific season was mostly due to him and his balloon hat business. Now, most of the season, he was thinking about his balloon hat business in his head while he was trying to play football at the same time. It didn't work out too well, as he would try to race down the field and catch up with, guys like Des Bryant and Deshaun Jackson. He would have balloons in the back of his mind. And, Des Bryant and Deshaun Jackson made a fool out of Bradley Fletcher. And I think it's pretty obvious at this point that Bradley Fletcher is not going to be on this football team next season. And when that officially happens, there will be a big parade down Broad Street in Philadelphia. It'll be led by the Bitter Birds. We will be the once leading the parade, because Jesus Christ was he horrible this season. And really, we have to take a look at Billy Davis here for not making the adjustments and getting Bradley Fletcher out of the game during our 3-game losing streak, which cost us the season.
One of Billy's things, one of his reasons why he didn't have Bradley Fletcher on the bench was because all he could do was play outside. He couldn't play inside. So he didn't bring like Carroll in there because of that very reason. That was one of his reasons. But the thing that I have to question, I'm like, no shit, Billy, because Bradley can't play outside either. Can't play at all. So I don't know. Like to me, it was like you could have had Carroll play on, in base personnel, and then you could bring Fletcher on to play outside when you go nickel and dime. Doesn't seem that hard, does it?
No, it doesn't seem that hard, but apparently it was a tough decision for Billy Davis. And so, I mean, you go into the offseason here, and the Eagles are going to have to evaluate Billy Davis. And we've kind of come up with the solution here. We're fans of Rex Ryan coming to Philadelphia as a defensive coordinator and taking over for Billy Davis. Now, I don't know if the Eagles would have the balls to do that, but I think it's a move that could really benefit the Eagles because Rex Ryan he's a pretty good defensive coach. Obviously, he didn't really focus on the offense with the Jets, but he can get the job done on defense. And ever since Jim Johnson died and the departure of Brian Dawkins, we've been missing that intensity on defense, and we need a defensive coordinator to bring it back or a defensive player. And at this point, it's going to have to be a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like 2 weeks ago, I talked about this on Twitter, and I'm like, no way it's ever going to happen. And just no way. But now it's like, maybe it could be a little bit more realistic. But the thing is I think Rex is going to get another head coaching job. I think another team will give him that chance. But if it doesn't happen, I don't see why you shouldn't go after him. But I can see Chip also having pride and, sticking with Billy Davis. So, that was his guy. That's who he picked first. Guy he picked to be his defensive coordinator. So, if he's stubborn to not make changes during the season, do you really think he's going to do it during the off season? Probably not. So, I think we're just going to have to, hope for the best with Billy, and hopefully, he learned from his mistakes this year. I just, I'd love to have Rex here. I think obviously you feel the same way, and I don't think you actually think it's a realistic possibility either. But I'll tell you what, man. If he does come here, that defense is going to be pretty sick. That front seven, it's going to be sick.
Well, yeah, well, that's one of the main reasons why I, would love for Rex Ryan to come here because with the Eagles and their, young defensive line, I mean, just imagine him, working with, guys like Fletcher Cox and Benny Logan, Cedric Thornton, Vinny Curry. He's just got so many weapons that he could use along that defensive line and their front seven in general. Very talented group, and so that's one thing that Rex Ryan could really utilize. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it looks like we're probably going to be stuck with Billy Davis because Chip Kelly is probably going to be loyal to Billy Davis. So really, we're going to have to get some cornerbacks, get another safety, and then we can see, what Billy Davis can really do.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's talk season. Let's discuss our season, what went wrong. So I've got some, topics, some reasons why our season went to shit. But out of these reasons, I want you to pick the one that led to our departure the most. So obviously we got Turnovers, led the league in turnovers, 36 of them. Secondary play, absolutely putrid. Injuries to key players, and then we got Chip Kelly's inexperience. So out of those four, which do you think hurt us the most?
Well, I think that it would have to be. It's really a tie between the turnovers and the secondary. But if I had to pick one, I would say that turnovers were probably the biggest deal there, and that really ties into the quarterback play as well, because most of those turnovers came from the quarterback position, and that also goes hand in hand with Sanchez having to play more than half the season. Sanchez is not a starting quarterback in this league. He's a decent backup. I mean, he can come in and beat average or bad teams, but he's not going to be able to be a starter in this league and beat good teams. And we kind of saw that down the stretch. So definitely, turnovers was really the biggest factor to me.
Yeah, that's interesting you bring that up. I think the secondary and the coaching kind of ties together because, I talked about this in my last video. I don't think you got a chance to see it, but Chip Kelly, during his press conference after that shutout win against the Giants, the 5-1 is 5-1 press conference, he basically was like, well, we're 5-1, we're great, we don't have to make changes. That's kind of how I got the vibe I got from him in that press conference. And we knew that changes needed to be made in the secondary. There were glaring weaknesses in the secondary, and as the season went along, they just kept getting more and more exposed. And by the time they actually made changes, it was too late. So, I blame Billy Davis and Chip Kelly more than anybody. Now, this doesn't mean that, like I said in my last video, that I've lost hope and faith. I just hope that, Chip takes this as a learning experience. He's still like relatively young in the professional head coaching business. I mean, he's only been a head coach for 6 years total at the collegiate and pro level. So, this wasn't about the up tempo and the milkshakes, the smoothies, banging the music at practice. This is about being a football man and making the adjustments that need to be made. So he needs to, I remember when Bill Belichick took tips from Chip Kelly on how to run the up-tempo stuff. Well, Chip needs to go get some tips from Bill about making mid-season adjustments. So hopefully this is something that he can learn from, as he progresses as the Eagles head coach.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. The coaching definitely faltered down the stretch, especially Billy Davis. I kind of felt like in their three losses, to Seattle, Dallas, and Washington, it was really just a combination of things that kill us all year long on the defense, and that was really big plays. We let up so many big plays this season, and it really turned into our demise. I really the one game that I look back on is really the Seattle game. That Seattle game, the defense was actually playing pretty well, but the problem was they couldn't get off the field on third down, and they were giving up. They gave up so many big plays in that game of over 20 yards that they just weren't able to recover from that. And also with the Washington game, the inability to take Bradley Fletcher out after he's been burned multiple times by Deshaun Jackson was just a killer. So yeah, it really goes to the coaching near the end of the season there, and goes to show we're talking about the loyalty that Chip Kelly had with Billy Davis, and this kind of ties in with the whole thing with why we want Rex Ryan, because Chip Kelly's the guy that can get the job done on offense. He's an offensive mastermind in a way, but he's got to bring in a guy on defense that's a defensive mastermind, and Billy Davis obviously isn't a mastermind. And geez, he's far from a rocket scientist because he left Bradley Fletcher in for, 3 losses that, left us out of the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, the problem was we hid behind our record, man. 9-3. We were 9-3. We didn't need to make changes. We're 9-3, right? So, we didn't have to do anything. Um, the other thing about Davis was his game plans down the stretch were complete shit. That Dallas game, I'm just still just blown away at how you have a guy with a bad back and you don't fucking bring blitzes pressure at all, really. That's the game that just makes me shake my head. Palm to the face.
Yeah, well, you bring up a great point, and I definitely agree with you because our strength on this defense was our front seven getting after the quarterback, especially Connor Barwin, who had a hell of a season getting after the quarterback. Now, in most of the games that we won this year, in the games where our secondary actually looked okay, was the games where our front seven got to the quarterback and we got sacks. Well, this is what you were just talking about. During our 3-game losing streak, the game plan on defense, well, it was the completely the wrong game plan because we decided to leave our cornerbacks and our secondary, you know, really on an island, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, and speaking of islands, the thing about the game yesterday too is I actually saw some double coverage, some safety help over the top. Another thing that pissed me off, even though Ruben Randall came up with that one pass, what was it? Threw it up. Who was in coverage? I think Kerry and Nate Allen were in coverage, and Randall just went up and got it along the left sideline. This was like early on in the game, but I saw that the secondary play yesterday was just on a whole different level. Eli still threw for his yards. Odell Beckham still had 12 catches for 182 yards, but if Bradley Fletcher would have been in there, trust me, it would have been a lot worse. All right, so okay. The other thing to bring up now, because we're gonna stick with coaches. Mind-boggling to me how you have a top 5 running back in the NFL. Granted, the Eagles have been playing from behind the last couple weeks, but going into that Giants game, the last 3 games, Mark Sanchez attempted 108 passes. LaShawn McCoy ran the ball just 55 times. Yesterday's game, at one point, Mark Sanchez had 27 pass attempts. McCoy had 9 rushes. I don't like this Andy Reid bullshit. This is supposed to be a running coach. He's supposed to run the ball. And McCoy had 9 carries for 68 yards. So he was running the ball phenomenally. And they're still passing the ball. I'm not really getting this shit. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that's something that was very concerning coming down this stretch. Really, was Chip Kelly's play calling with Mark Sanchez. We've said it all along when Mark Sanchez became the starter that 30 throws was really his maximum for a game. Well, Chip Kelly and the Eagles did not listen to us at all because they went well beyond that limit. They even stretched it out to 50 throws in the Washington game. So you can't do that with Mark Sanchez. He's got to make mistakes if you have him throw the ball that much in one game. So not really a big fan of their game plan with Mark Sanchez in there. It's kind of like, Chip Kelly, he decided to, stick with the offense that he wanted to run, even though Sanchez was in there. He was, really acting like he had a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, playing. But you can't do that with a guy like Sanchez because it's just going to, result in mistakes. So, the positive out of this is we learned that, well, obviously, that Sanchez is not a starting quarterback. So there's no debate about that going into next season. Foles is going to be the man. unless they go out and they shock the world and do something crazy. Foles is a guy, so we don't have to worry about any controversy like that. But yeah, really, not a fan of. I mean, McCoy. They just didn't get him the ball enough. Like you were saying, McCoy was really he was on fire. He was getting the job done in most of these games during their losing streak, but they didn't continue to hand him the ball. Really, it went down to the second half in most of these games. They just forgot to give the ball to McCoy.
It was just impatience, really. And Chip's a guy that likes to talk fast, think fast, all this stuff. And I've also realized that he's not too patient either. So, you get down, you don't just start passing the ball. Now, this is where I want to go back to a show that we did prior. And, we actually went back to the Andy Reid era when, McNabb would go down and his injuries. And I actually went and looked at every game log and I calculated the stats because I can do math, unlike JPP, Jason Pierre-Paul. And we came to the conclusion that Andy was calling, the ratio was 50-50 between the run attempts and the pass attempts. That hasn't been the case with Marky Mark. We thought that Chip was going to run the ball. We thought it would be like 60-40. But it turned out to be like 40-60. And that to me is inexcusable.
Yeah, it's funny because
It's not funny. It's not funny.
it is funny
It
because
is not.
Sanchez, actually he set the Eagles franchise mark for completion percentage in a single season. He surpassed Foles' mark from last year, but the reason for that is because he threw the ball so many damn times that he was bound to have such a high completion percentage. And also the way that Chip Kelly's offense works, guys are usually running wide open. So actually, his completion percentage should have been even higher because he missed so many guys this year when they were open. That yeah, but that's a story for another day. But I don't even know what we were talking about. I got so off track with Sanchez here. But another, we were talking about McCoy, and something that I want to see more of next year is they need to figure out a way to incorporate all three running backs better because I mean, Polk kind of just disappeared here the final few games of the season, and I feel like he's really got to be our short yardage back. I mean, anytime we're in a 3rd and 2 or 4th and 1 down at the goal line, I mean, in my mind, there's no question he's got to go into the game. They also got to figure out a way to utilize Sproles more. And if you can utilize all three of those guys, then obviously you're going to be running the ball a lot more, and that'll limit the amount of throws that your quarterback has to make.
Yeah, and that's going to be an important decision for the Eagles because Chris Polk's a free agent. So, I'm curious to see what happens with him, because I can totally see a team giving him not giving him more money necessarily, but giving him a more established role. Because here he's only going to carry the ball like 5 times in a game. So we'll see what happens. But I would love to bring him back as a short yardage guy. I love how quick he goes north south. Just a different element than McCoy, and that's the part I like about it because you have 3 established guys now, and they all do something different, and I love that about all 3 of them. Changing topics a little bit now. Let's that this is where I want to talk about this because it's funny because we've now realized that you can't just plug any quarterback into this system and they're going to succeed because Sanchez is now the second failure. Matt Barkley's the first one. Matt Barkley is just terrible and he sucks and he's awful. And Sanchez now, he set the completion percentage mark, but check down Charlie when nothing's over 10 yards. I mean, it's pretty easy to make complete all those passes. So, it can't tell you how many times he overthrew a guy. So, Um, but yeah, what do you think about that? You know, I don't think you can just plug any guy in here. Before that, that's what I used to think. But not every quarterback can make the throw.
Well, yeah. Like, again, like I said before, the problem with Sanchez is they were making him throw the ball 50 times a game.
Yeah.
I felt like if you go back and you look at the games where Sanchez played well, I really go back and I look at that game against Dallas on Thanksgiving, because and also the other game that I look at is the game that Sanchez played against the Panthers. There were two games where they really utilized Sanchez pretty well, because you limit him to 30 throws, and he's gonna do pretty well. But having him throw the ball 50 times is just idiotic, really, and it makes no sense. But yeah, you're right. I mean, you can't just plug any quarterback in and just have them try to throw the ball 40, 45 times a game. So obviously, Mark Sanchez didn't fit into the equation.
No, no, he did not. Oh boy. All right. Let's talk about our secondary play yesterday because we haven't really gone in depth on it, at least not yet. So here's basically what I took away from it. Nolan Carroll can play a little bit. Brandon Boykin, we still know how good he is. I mean, that play he made in the end zone on Beckham, that was pretty nice to knock that pass away. And we got to see a little bit of Jalen Watkins. So, and I didn't think he looked too bad either. Did fall down on a Beckham 68-yard touchdown. He also missed the tackle in space, from what I remember. But I didn't think he was that bad. He was kind of like he played with an edge to him, a little bit more physical than some other guys. So I thought he, did all right. But what are your thoughts on the corners?
Yeah, no, I pretty much agree with you there. It's just a shame that we really didn't get to see more of Nolan Carroll during the season. They really should have rotated him in a lot more with Bradley Fletcher, especially when Fletcher was getting burned down the stretch. So definitely agree with you there. It was nice to see Watkins get in there. Obviously, they weren't going to play Watkins this season because he was, kind of a project, and they didn't have room for him to play this year during the games. So he's the kind of guy that you're probably looking at next year to see a little bit more action. And he's a guy, he was a draft pick, so hopefully he pans out, because we need all the help that we can get in the secondary. And I agree with you. Obviously, Boykin is the best cornerback on the team. He's obviously going to be here again. So really, it's just a matter. Fletcher's going to be gone, and it comes down to really if Kyrie Williams stays or if he goes. Kind of funny because we definitely said that he was going to be gone earlier on in the season, but kind of the last few games, he's been all right. He definitely improved from the beginning of the year. So we'll see what happens with him. I wouldn't be pissed off if he stays at this point, but I wouldn't be happy.
Here's basically what I kind of want to have happen. I want to have a position battle. I want six guys fighting for two of the starting spots. And that's what I want. Just sign a bunch of guys, and don't ever settle for a starting lineup. If you want to keep tinkering, tinker throughout the season, because that's the mistake they made this year. They named their two starters. They had the same two starters last year, and they just didn't change the model. So, it's funny that you bring up Carey because I can totally see him being back now. I don't know why. I just kind of have a weird feeling about it. Um, yeah, so we'll see. They may need him back because they may not be able to get a better corner. We'll see. But that's another topic for another video to discuss what kind of quarterbacks are out there. The one name that I think about right away right now is Byron Maxwell. I mean, he would be that's Chip's wheelhouse right there. Big physical corner. That's what Chip likes. So I know you like Brandon Flowers. You mentioned him yesterday in work. So I mean, I love Brandon Flowers. I think he's a great corner. But will Chip want a guy that's a little bit smaller? We'll see. So those are just a couple names to throw out there. But that's another topic for another video. We'll get more extensively into that in the coming weeks. So the question I have now for you: if Nick Foles is a starter all season long, do the Eagles make the playoffs?
Yes, because the offensive line started to come together near the end of the season, and they gained some chemistry. And I kind of feel like Nick Foles wouldn't have made the same mistakes that he made earlier on in the season because he had that injury. He would have had some time to get away from the game and take a step back. So yeah, I think that they would have won those one or two games that they needed to if they had Foles in there. I don't think that they would have been able to beat Seattle, but I think that Foles could have beaten Dallas and he could have beaten the Redskins.
That's exactly basically what I was going to say. That last Redskins drive, we knew Sanchez was going to throw a pick. Nick Foles wouldn't have thrown a pick. And then you go back to the Dallas game, and right after the Cowboys score, it's 28-24. Sanchez throws two picks. Well, no, he throws a pick, and then there was a turnover by what was it, Selleck, I believe. So,
Hmm.
or was it Ertz? Selleck or Ertz?
No, it was Selleck,
It
yeah.
was Selleck. So, those are the two games that I look at that I think Foles would have won. So instead of being 10-6, they would have gone 12-4. So, you Nick Foles haters, y'all can hold my Nick.
Yeah, well, the other thing is when Foles, exited the season with his injury, the deep ball exited as well. And
Yes.
I felt like that's something that really doesn't get talked about, but I think it was a major factor in kind of why the offense struggled a little bit with Sanchez in there. Because with Foles in, we had Macklin and Foles, they had a great connection with the deep ball. But ever since Sanchez came in, the deep ball really disappeared. I mean, when you're trying to throw a deep ball to Riley Cooper, I mean you got issues. It's not going to work out. So, and you even go and then you know, he came the first game, really the first pass that Sanchez threw when he came in to replace Foles in the Texans game was a deep pass to Macklin, and you're thinking, all right, here we go. He's going to be able to throw the deep ball, not going to really miss a beat, but it really took, you know, a long time before he even threw another deep ball. He tried one against Seattle to Riley Cooper, didn't work out. He tried one, this past week against the Giants to Macklin, and it was a bad pass. He didn't throw it in the right spot. He actually had Macklin, but he missed him. So yeah, that was really a big factor. With Foles not in there, we didn't have the deep ball at all.
Yeah, and he also missed one to Josh Huff too yesterday. So
Yeah.
he just can't throw the deep ball, and this is why the completion percentage mark is a complete farce because he's not accurate. He's not accurate on his deep ball. And when Foles exited, he was leading the NFL in I believe yards per attempt or so, or either yards per attempt or most attempted passes over 20 yards. So he led one of those. And I know Chip, he's a guy that likes to go deep a lot, but with Sanchez, you just didn't have that luxury. So yeah, so that's what you had with that. All right. Trying to think of other topics we could talk about. I know you got to get out of here. It's 3:10. Um, I got one more question for you. I think this is a good one. Who's a worse football player, Bradley Fletcher or Riley Cooper?
Wow. That's got to be Bradley Fletcher. I mean, I I know that Cooper is bad, but at least Cooper, got lucky last year. I mean, Bradley Fletcher can't even get lucky. So I gotta say Bradley Fletcher. You know, you talk about Cooper and geez, yeah, talk about a disappointing year. I mean, coming off the year that he had, last season with Foles, I mean, this year was just a big disappointment. I mean, he finishes, with 55 catches for 577 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, he's a receiver, and he let Ertz, a tight end, who freaking wasn't even targeted, as much as he should have been. Finishes with 58 catches, 702 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So that's all you need to know about Cooper.
Oh, Pooper Cooper. You know, um, we've been basically in denial all season long about the loss of Deshaun Jackson. That's something else I've realized. And this stems from, once again, Chip's stubbornness, his cockiness. He thought, oh yeah, I could just let Jackson go, and some other guy will just step up and be a vertical threat because he thinks his his scheme is so great. So Deshaun got replaced with Riley Cooper, and this is what happened. Um, this is another reason why teams stack the box to stop Shady McCoy. So, just imagine how much better it would have been with Macklin and Deshaun as opposed to Macklin and Cooper. Now, Macklin's still a better receiver than Deshaun. I'm always going to say that. But, I think we can, step out of the denial stages now.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously it was, not having Deshaun was, definitely a big factor. They're going to have to go out and they kind of need to find, a similar type of player to Deshaun. They've got to get a guy that has that blazing speed on the outside that can just beat you deep down the field because, like we were talking about, they really missed that when Sanchez was in there. So, uh, you know, Macklin can, be the guy that's gonna, catch those deep balls all the time because that's really not his game. So they got to find a guy similar type of player to Dijon. So
Yeah, and that's what Josh Huff was supposed to be, but who the hell knows what's going to happen with him? Because I didn't like what I saw from him at all this season. I get that he's a rookie, but he didn't show me anything to have any confidence in him. It, I mean, I know he was hurt, brought along slowly, but I don't know. We'll see. In terms of free agent wide receivers, I know Vincent Jackson's one. He's like a big target, big guy they could bring in. We talked about this yesterday, and it's funny because see, we normally agree on everything, but this is one instance where we didn't. Um, if we were going to pick in the mid-teens, it's not going to happen now because we're going to pick 20th because we won yesterday. But I was thinking if we were in the mid-teens, I wanted the Eagles to go and get Kevin White. Now, I was high on Odell Beckham last year, and I turned out to be right because Odell Beckham's a monster. And I don't think Kevin White's on the same level as Beckham, but I think Kevin White is a stud, and I think he's a perfect fit for this offense. He's great after the catch, and he's got some speed to him as well. So, I think he would have been a perfect fit, for this offense. And my thing was kind of like, my argument was I didn't really think the cornerback class is that great this year, and I didn't want them to go reaching for a guy, just picking a corner just to pick a corner when you got a talent like Kevin White on the board. So that was kind of like my thing. Um, but now that they're picking 20th, you can go get a corner, and PJ Williams is a guy that I'm thinking about right now as who they can get. Now you can go elaborate on your point now to that.
no, well, I mean, it would all depend. I mean, how much they would have to move up and how much they would have to give up to, get a guy like, White. But if they have to, give up a lot, I wouldn't want to do that. I mean, they really gotta, focus on this secondary right right now. Should get him, so it could be a problem. I mean, we're looking at the 20th pick right now, so yeah, it's not looking good.
I wonder if you misunderstood me. I didn't want the Eagles to trade up to get him. I was saying because if he would have fell to 15.
Oh well, yeah, if he would have fell, but yeah,
Oh, okay. So you misunderstood me yesterday.
yeah,
Fuck no, I don't want to trade up to get Kevin White because those draft picks are gold, man. They need
yeah,
as much secondary help as they can get.
yeah.
No, because I'm seeing like mock drafts where he's going like 10 to 15.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
like it's gonna be an Odell Beckham thing again. We're gonna fall like 5 or 7 picks short.
yeah, yeah. So and it's I don't think he's. I mean, he's a talent, but I think there's other holes that you need to fill. But yeah, if he would have fell to 15, that was what I was trying to say yesterday. If he would have fallen to 15, I
Yeah.
think you take him in a heartbeat. And when you said no, I was a little bit surprised. Like really? I was like really? But you must have thought I was saying trade up.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
I will tell you this that they can't afford to mess this first round pickup. That's for sure because right now it's looking like they swung and they whiffed on the Marcus Smith pick because my hopes for him uh very low right now. So they better freaking hit this one out of the ballpark.
Yeah, yeah. They struck out like Ryan Howard.
Yeah, they sure did. And well, we'll have a lot of time to go to Clearwater and watch the Phillies.
Oh God, the Phillies, man. Yeah, that's another day. All right. All right. So you kind of got to get out of here. You got to go do some shopping. Um, I guess we could end the show now. I can't really think of anything else to talk about anyway. I've been in like a gloomy mood the last couple weeks. But hey, at least at least it turned out that Dallas won the last two games because it would have just pissed us off even more if we would have won
Yeah,
last week. Then it would have been relying on the Redskins, and then the Cowboys just went and beat the shit out of them. Now, this is where I want to talk about. All right, we'll talk about Romo just really quick because I'm sick of this bullshit about people sucking his dick because he had a good December. He played fucking Washington, Chicago, our secondary, and who else did he fucking play? I don't even know the other team. But was it?
Chicago.
Did I say Chicago? Chicago, Philly, Washington. But anyway,
Washington.
the point is, all those teams fucking blow defensively. And the Eagles, they had a game plan where they let Romo, scan the field all game long. So I'm not giving him any credit. Romophobia has not diminished because we're going to see it on Sunday. The Cowboys are going to get their fucking asses beat. Go tell Cowboy Dan. That's a fucking lock of the week. Lions over the boys.
I'll give you another lock of the week. Uh, there's a high possibility that somebody along the Lions defensive line will drop kick Romo in the first quarter of that game. And Sue, if he is not suspended for that game, will step on Romo's ribs.
Actually, what I was thinking of, well, he was going to step on his balls, but then when he goes to step on his balls, he's going to find out that there's nothing there. There's a vagina.
Yeah, so that's why he will have to resort to the rib shot.
Oh man, yeah, and now we can step. I honestly, I kind of laughed yesterday when I saw that.
Yeah,
It's kind of,
they're a dirty team, man.
yeah, yeah. Oh boy, yeah. We got
Sue
a, we
especially.
got, and we got a fucking Lions fan in the newsroom too. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's like we just hear like random claps. Now I had to cover the game yesterday, but um, yeah, he just claps. It's kind of annoying a little bit, but he's like he is such a homer. He's the guy that actually thinks Matt Stafford's an elite quarterback.
Yeah. No, well, not in the playoffs, that's for sure.
No, no, I love you, Red, but Matt Stafford isn't that good. Sorry, brother. Sorry. When he said that one time, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I think Matt Stafford's the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. But yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Let's end this show. All right, you said 3:15. It's 3:21, so I'm gonna let you go.
All right.
Um,
So,
so
well, for final thoughts time, I think that
wow,
we should.
wow, you must be in a hurry. You didn't even let me
No.
transition to final thoughts time.
Well, I was gonna say for final thoughts time, we might as well do our Super Bowl prediction.
Holy shit! Yeah. All right. Okay, we could do that. Okay. Well, basically, we think it's going to be chalk. I think it's going to be chalk. So, I guess we could run down the matchups real quick. I'm going to take Carolina over Arizona. We'll do this really quick. Carolina over Arizona. I've got Pittsburgh at home. I have. I'm going to get back to the Colts game. Um, and then I got the Lions. So you're going to have the Lions playing in Seattle. Forget about it. Seattle. Green Bay against Carolina. Green Bay. So you're going to see chalk in the NFC. That Bengals game, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to take the Colts, but I don't really like the way they're playing down the stretch. I'm going to take the Colts because back in October, the Bengals didn't get a first down on their first 8 drives against them. So, but I like the way the Bengals are playing. They're playing better down the stretch, even though they lost yesterday. So you're going to have, let's see, it's going to be Steelers, Broncos, Colts, Patriots. So Patriots play the Broncos in the championship game. I got New England and Seattle in the Super Bowl. And by God, I think the Seahawks are going to win it all again.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards Seattle winning it all again too. The problem is Seattle has the number one seed, and going to play there is going to be a challenge again.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. You know, I don't think New England can beat them. I don't think it's a good matchup to play.
No, I don't think so either. I'm actually going with a bit of an upset here in the AFC.
Oh baby,
I
You're-
I think that the Steelers are actually going to make it to the Super Bowl in the AFC.
wow,
Yeah.
wow. That is like really surprising to me. Now this we've never disagreed so much on the
They-
Steelers. Now they are hot down the stretch. I have not been a fan of them all season long, but they are hot down the stretch. And sometimes when it comes to the postseason, this is what wins. You get hot at the right time. So, all right, I will stop talking because this is your pick, not mine. So you can further clarify your Steelers pick.
Yeah, no, I just think that they're hot. They've won four in a row to end the regular season. They've got obviously Le'Veon Bell. Oh, well, his health status will be a big factor in that, but it looks like his knee is just a hyperextension, so he should be okay. There's no major damage there, but yeah, I really feel like a lot of times it comes down to a hot team, and obviously Roethlisberger has experience in Super Bowls, and he showed that he can get the job done. So I think that yeah, they can pull off the upsets and they can beat either Denver or New England in their own stadium, and but then they'll get to the Super Bowl and they'll end up losing to the Seahawks.
All right, interesting, very interesting. Now I do think out of the top 4 seeds, the Broncos are the most likely that they're the team that could most likely get upset, and I can see the Steelers going in there and beating them. So that wouldn't shock me, but it would definitely shock me if they made the Super Bowl. So if you get this one right, I mean, I don't know, what do you want? Like a box of Oreos, some peanut butter
A whole
cookies,
a whole pizza.
a nice Pizza Hut pizza with a little little sweet sriracha crust.
Yeah. All right. So, we'll make a bet then. So, because you have what New England coming out of the AFC, and I have the Steelers.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've had New England all season long, so
Okay.
I couldn't get away from it. Um, well, it's not really a fair bet because the Steelers, I'm sure, their odds are all right. Here's what we'll do: if the Steelers win, I'll buy you two pizzas. If the Steelers get to the Super Bowl, I'll buy you two pizzas. And if the Patriots get there, I just get a pizza.
All right.
So you get 2 to 1 odds.
All right. That's a fair deal.
All right, awesome. All right, let's go fucking Patriots. I'm gonna be rooting for them now.
Yeah, the funny part is I really don't even like the Steelers at all, but sometimes you just get a feeling.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What kind of crust do I want?
Well, I have two crusts to pick from.
Oh man.
While
Well,
I make while
what'll
I make
happen
my
is,
balloon hats.
yeah, what's going to wind up happening is I'm just going to split that pizza with you, and
Yeah, probably because watch it be like a rematch in Seattle and Denver.
oh God, I don't really want to see that.
No, because
Uh,
Seattle might do the same thing because that freaking defense.
yeah, yeah, I'm not a big believer in seeing Super Bowls again, the same matchup again. I like to see different things, different matchups, and a Seattle New England matchup is actually a little bit fascinating. So I think that would be a good game.
Yeah, no, definitely.
All right, we had our final thoughts. That was our little
Yeah.
final thought segment. So I guess we'll do a video next week sometime. I don't know what we'll do. We'll take a look at some free agent cornerbacks or something. I don't know. We'll either do that. Maybe we'll do one on Mariota and why it would be ludicrous to even go up and try to trade up for him. I don't know what we're gonna do, but we'll figure something out. We got a week to figure it out. So yeah. With that being said, Mike Owens is waving his terrible towel. He's out of here, as am I. Hope you guys enjoyed the season, because I sure as fuck didn't. Not the last month. But, we hung in there, and we're going to try and keep calm. We're going to try to chip on, and hopefully next season, do a little bit better. Take another step in the right direction. I'm expecting an appearance, at least an appearance in the NFC Championship game next year. My goal, my bar is set up here. All right, Chip? Go do your thing, bro. Mike, you can say something.
All right.
Another final thoughts.
See you on the golf course. See you on the golf course.
Okay. All right. That's all Mike wants to say. All right. That being said, that was Mike Owens. I'm Adrian Fedke. Keep calm and chip on. Go Birds.